Mr. Speaker, who could be against the following motion? That, given that, after 9 years, the government has doubled housing costs, taxed food, punished work, unleashed crime, and is the most centralizing government in Canadian history, the House has lost confidence in the government and offers Canadians the option to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's a very simple answer to his question as to who's opposed to that motion. Canadians.
Less than 24 hours after the first Conservative non-confidence motion was defeated in the House of Commons, Pierre Poilievre tabled another one. A vote for that latest one will be on Tuesday, and as it turns out, it'll be a busy day. The Liberals have designated Tuesday another opposition today, but this one is going to the Bloc Quebecois. Whatever motion they put forward will face a vote this coming Wednesday. That's well ahead of the October 29th deadline that leader Yves-François Blanchet has given the Liberals to meet his demands for a boost to old age security and swift passage of supply management protections. In an interview airing this weekend on CTV's Question Period, the Bloc's deputy House leader says her party will not put forward a confidence vote.
There would be no point in putting a censure motion that would topple the government before we get to that deadline of October 29th. So, the way we see it is a way maybe we can use to reestablish and work the path towards our demands. And as you mentioned, there's two of them, old age security and supply management. So I guess it's going to be a day by day until we get to the 29th, and we can use our opposition days to make sure that things are rolling in the right direction.
And no, Power Play Friday is not the official sponsor of CTV's Question Period. We just like to use their clips a lot. So are the stakes any lower for this government, and do they need to bow to the Bloc's demands? Let's bring in the front bench. Sabrina Grover was a federal Liberal candidate in the 2021 election. She's a senior advisor at Spark Advocacy and North Star Public Affairs. Melanie Paradis is the former communications director to Aaron O'Toole. She's now the president of Texture Communications. Former Ontario NDP MPP Gurratan Singh, he's now the vice president of Crestview Strategy. He's also the brother of federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh and CTV News national correspondent Rachel Aiello. Welcome back, everyone. Melanie, I want to start with you on this. So we have the text of the Conservative confidence motion, and it contains a lot of those talking points that we've heard from Mr. Poilievre. What's behind that play, in your opinion?
Well, look, it's all about talking about the key issues that are on top of mind for Canadians today. So the cost of living, cost of groceries, cost of housing, the carbon tax, and making sure that we can axe that as soon as possible. And he's really just using this confidence motion to bring more awareness to Canadians about what the Conservatives are fighting for and what the election should be about if we were to have one in the next couple of months. I think that this is a great play for him to once again be hammering home those key messages. And really, we know that it's also a big wedge for the NDP and for the Bloc. I don't know why they keep walking into this trap, but in the next election, they're going to be in their ridings, and the Conservatives are going to be able to say, the candidate in this riding voted with the Liberals, voted to prop up the Trudeau government on this issue, on this issue, on this issue, over and over again. They're going to be able to do that all across the country. And I don't know why they keep walking right into that trap.
Gurratan, your brother said today on Your Morning here on CTV that he will, if it's something of substance, he'll look at it. But he actually said, if it's just a motion being brought by Pierre Poilievre, we're not going to support that. Talk to me about that one.
Well, what it is actually is that the NDP wants to clearly demonstrate that they are in opposition to the Conservatives and their cuts. And what the NDP has been describing as the potential and likelihood of pretty drastic cuts to healthcare, a removal of dental care, any erasure of what work has been done on pharmacare. So to the point that was made earlier, the NDP actually wants to be able to go into ridings and let people know that, yes, the NDP voted against a potential government that's going to come into Canada that's going to bring austerity. So a lot of this play is you're seeing from the NDP this position to say that they're taking the fight to the Conservatives and they're showing direct opposition and contrast to say that these cuts are not what Canadians need right now, but further investment into these social safety networks that help everyone and lift up all Canadians.
Sabrina, how do the Liberals play this in terms of going back into their ridings and telling their constituents what this is all about?
Well, I think, it's bumper sticker slogans from Pierre, and now it's a bumper sticker confidence motion that doesn't have any weight behind it, and he knows is going to be voted down. And so I think it's interesting that he continues to bring this up and continues to try and wedge the Bloc and the NDP, who clearly are here to actually do the work of putting through legislation. What I think is going to be interesting for the Liberals, however, is to not let the Bloc now set the agenda in a way that is too controlling of the narrative. I think under the Supply and Confidence Agreement, of course, the Liberals were really able to capitalize on any of the legislation that came out of that, all of the policies and programs that came out of that really lives under the Liberals, and I don't think the NDP has gotten any credit for that. And so when we talk about the Bloc coming forward with this OAS motion or with the information on supply management, I think they're going to walk a very thin line on making sure the Bloc doesn't set the fall agenda and kind of pigeonhole them into defending policies that they may not support or that cost Canadians a lot of money. So I think that will be the tightrope that the Liberals will need to walk.
Rachel, do you think that's why the Liberals are stacking up all of these these opposition days so early in the calendar?
I'm finding the strategy from the Liberals actually really interesting. Heading into this fall sitting, it was a big question of, are they going to kind of hold off on these, not let the other parties test confidence early on? Clearly, that's not their strategy. Karina Gold has come back into the House of Commons as House Leader, guns a-blazing. She is essentially testing the Conservatives, saying, bring it on. And I think they're walking an interesting line here of making sure that they are getting them through early enough that should there be a scandal or a controversy or political winds change later on, they've gotten enough of them out of the way that they're not going to be facing a barrage of potential Conservative opposition, non-confidence motions, but they're staggered in a way that it's not crass and dumping them all in a week or two.
Not as obvious. But Melanie, yesterday, former cabinet minister James Morris said that if you're an opposition party, once you vote non-confidence once, you can't really go back. So are the Liberals trying to really put all of the challenges now on the opposition parties? Or do you think that the opposition parties will eventually have to come off the ledge at one time or another here?
No, I think they're playing the clock out on this. I think that procedurally there's an opportunity for the Liberals to ram through all of these opposition days before that October 29th deadline that the Bloc has given them. They can get all of the Conservative opposition motions in during that period of time and basically take all of the chips away from the opposition to call a confidence vote. And then they'd be in a position where the only confidence vote remaining before the end of the year might be the supplementary estimates vote that could happen in December, although they could call that earlier as well if they wanted to. So the Liberals hold all the cards here. They get to set the agenda and they get to control when things happen in the House. And that, I think, is the really interesting play here.
Yeah, in Gurratan, it doesn't seem like the NDP is going to use one of their opposition day motions to call a confidence vote.
When you look at the style of the NDP over their past, since this new government has been in place, it's very much they've been trying to position themselves in a way which the actions that they take should be in the benefit of Canadians. So you see, when it comes to the Supply Confidence Agreement, it was focused around delivering programs to Canadians. I think it's pretty clear that the NDP wouldn't vote to bring down the government on a Conservative motion, and if they do take those steps to demonstrate no confidence in the government, is probably going to be around something substantive that speaks to their values, something around increasing supports for folks or investments into specific social programs or a failure by the government to do so. So I think the NDP is clearly not going to accept the Conservative frame on when to call an election. And, there's likely to be an early election. And if the NDP does so, I'm pretty confident it's going to be on factors that they set the terms on, that they set the narrative on, not them adopting a narrative that they're going to be battling during an election. They're going to be fighting tooth and nail against the Conservative cuts when ultimately that comes forth in an election. So, they wouldn't be adopting that policy or that position now.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break.